wait for it, using her personal email for government business while serving in the administration. You cannot make it up. I feel like I say that every week, and every week I'm right. Hundreds of emails last year to White House aides, per the Washington Post. Wonder what her dad thinks. Fair to compare it to Hillary Clinton? Let's ask our great debaters, Bakari Sellers and Rick Santorum. Bakari, what do you say?
Crooked Ivanka, but her emails. I mean, these themes are things that we heard about throughout the entire campaign. Right now, it's hypocrisy showing its ugly head. Republicans didn't care about Hillary Clinton's emails. All they wanted to do was persecute her night in and night out, chanting, lock her up, lock her up. It was something good and red meat for the base, but they really didn't care. But now you have Ivanka doing the same thing, and we're going to hear complete silence. She is a high-ranking, although his daughter, a high-ranking administration official who has a security clearance. And if we're going to have an FBI investigation for Hillary Clinton, we need to have an investigation for Ivanka Trump. I think the saying is, what's good for the goose is good for the gander. And so I am tired of the hypocrisy. The American people are tired of the hypocrisy. So either we're going to begin to chant lock her up and investigate her from here until the cows come home, or we're just going to say that we were hypocritical and Hillary Clinton's matter was not that serious.
Well, I hope nobody chants that, because I hated it the first time. It showed such a disrespect for the process and such a kind of a pitchfork mentality. I hated it. But Rick, what about the hypocrisy here?
Well, I mean, to sort of ignore the obvious differences here is, I think, a little hypocritical. I mean, Hillary Clinton went out and established her own server in full knowledge that what she was doing was wrong, number one. Number two, this was a political person who had political aspirations, who was doing things, in her own interest as a political figure, as opposed to Ivanka, who is not a political figure. She's the daughter of the president. Yet she was not the Secretary of State dealing with a variety of very sensitive and classified information, even information that's not classified, but sensitive from the standpoint of dealing with our allies and foes. I mean, Ivanka's focused on, parental leave policies. I mean, there's a big difference between what Hillary Clinton as Secretary of State was doing and what Ivanka Trump is being accused of doing.
Well, she's a senior advisor. Hillary didn't set up the server. It was set up by her husband before, right? And Comey had to go back and say that the problem wasn't that she was trafficking in classified information. But your point stands, Bakari, apples to oranges. Hillary Clinton was a big shot, wanted to be president of the United States. This is different.
No, it's not different. And I mean, what's the difference between if Hillary Clinton was using her own homebrewed server versus Ivanka Trump using Yahoo, AOL, or Gmail? I mean, I think we need to know what that is. We need to figure out if she was compromised or not. She was communicating with high-level cabinet officials. But I love the fact that my friends on the right, whenever something happens with Donald Trump Jr. or Eric Trump or Ivanka, they say, oh my God, they're just children. Please let them be. But now they have security clearances. Now they are high-ranking administration officials, and they're in violation of the law. And so to say that Ivanka Trump doesn't know or is ignorant of policy, the perfect example is Hillary Clinton. Her father was out there chanting, lock her up. Her father ran a campaign. You could use hashtag but her emails. So to say she's not aware that she should not use her private email address, I think is intellectually dishonest.
First off, I didn't say that, Bakari. I didn't say that she was blameless here. I think what she did was wrong. What she did was really not, is sort of inexcusable given just the things you've said. But I don't think it rises to the level of what we talked about with Hillary Clinton. I think they are two different things. What Ivanka did, I'm disappointed, that she did it. I'm sure she feels very bad about having done that. It was careless. It was not a good thing to do. But it doesn't rise to the level of what Mrs. Clinton.
Look, the problem is none of it.
Should there be an investigation, though?
Yeah, you think there should be an investigation or no, Rick?
No, look. I mean, unless there's some evidence here that she was dealing with a lot of information, as Mrs. Clinton was, of a sensitive nature, and that was part of the discussion. Again, from what the articles I read is that the majority of the discussions were about scheduling and, her children and family and things like that, which, I know that's what Hillary Clinton said, but it didn't turn out to be that way.
Well, but it turned out to be closer to that than what you guys were making of it, right? I mean, that's the problem. Just to put it all out there for a second, I don't really care about what these guys are using. If you get caught, then you got a big problem. And if you get caught by somebody else, not the U.S. government, but they catch you and they get information from you because you did this. Now you've got a big problem on your hands, and that's when we usually deal with it. But during the campaign, let's be honest, this was blown out of control because it was Hillary Clinton. Republicans ran wild with it. That's where the chants came from. If you ask IT experts, what do you think's safer, Gmail or your own server? They're going to tell you to set up your own server every time over those things. But it was never about the truth. It was never about what emails she had. It was a way to go after Hillary Clinton. And that's the irony of it now being his own daughter. Fair point?
But I don't. Yeah, I think that's a fair point. In fact, I don't necessarily want Ivanka investigated. I mean, I'm like you, Chris. I could care less that she was using her private email account. I don't even think she should have security access, and I think nepotism is running rampant in the White House, so she really shouldn't even be there in the first place. But with all that being said, I think we're just making these points to highlight something that breeds distrust amongst our viewers and breeds distrust amongst the American public, which is the hypocrisy.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's where it comes up. And we see it on different levels. And another topic I wanted to get at it with you guys about is what he said to John Kelly yesterday. You know, that was a great interview by Chris Wallace. Got to give it to him. We don't celebrate each other enough in this business. I'm biased. I came up under Chris Wallace at ABC News. He was the senior investigative correspondent. He's top-notch. He's got it in his genes. His father created the confrontational interview as far as I'm concerned. So he did a nice job yesterday and got to a lot of different things and had the president on his heels a lot. And I think that's important when you're testing power. And I saw that in a subtle way that wasn't celebrated much yet. I mean, the interview was just yesterday. But when he was talking about John Kelly, do we have sound of that, Mel? All right, I want you guys to hear the president talking about John Kelly, the chief of staff, the general. Listen.
Back in July, you said that Chief of Staff John Kelly will be here through 2020. Can you still say that?
I wouldn't. Look, we get along well. There are certain things I love what he does, and there are certain things that I don't like that he does that aren't his strengths. But John at some point is going to want to move on. John will move on.
So 2020 is no longer written in stone.
It could happen. Yeah, it could be. I mean, it could be. But let's see what happens.
It's like reality is so day to day in this administration. I mean, there is no loyalty, Rick. There is no permanency. And by all accounts, General John Kelly is giving heart, soul, blood, and brain to this administration on a daily basis. And that's the way he gets talked about?
I didn't see that as being critical. He said, love what some of he does. Love
he won't even guarantee he's here throughout the year. And who does that in politics? What did you ever say about your chief of staff?
That may be John Kelly's decision.
Things, but when have you ever done that? I mean, Bakari, you've been in the business. Rick, you were at such a high level. Nobody talks like that about their own people. Nobody exposes them to scrutiny.
He's also given John Kelly high praise on multiple occasions. I think there might be something going on. Maybe General Kelly wants to go. I mean, we've heard that rumor for a long, long time.
Is anybody ever safe from scrutiny from this man? You know, I mean, is there anybody? Like his grandkids? Is there anybody who gets an unqualified pass?
It's a reality. This is a reality TV show. This is The Apprentice on steroids. This is what we have in the White House. They love chaos, and I think this is just who he is. And I think that there's people that are waiting in the backgrounds. One of the individuals I've served with here in South Carolina, Mick Mulvaney, is sitting there just waiting in the backgrounds, who has a demeanor that's much more like Donald Trump than John Kelly's.
But why would you want it? Rick, if they came to you and said, hey, come on into the White House. We need you out here. You're great with Cuomo. Come on in. We want you. Would you even consider it?
Chris, I love this show so much. I could just never leave here. I mean, I can't. I mean, I'm going to do this until I'm gray.
It's
and
me, isn't it?
It's me. Till I walk in sort of straggly without a tie on and a sweater. That's when I'll do this.
That's a different level. He's too young and too handsome. Rick, you and I, we may be Italian, but we need a little bit more to dress like that. I can't tell you how many guys say to me, and even Anthony Scaramucci has been honest about this. The idea of everybody wants to work in the White House, it's not true. They have a really hard time in general. Under normal circumstances, it's hard to get people to take time off of their work, worry about their livelihood, cut their money, and go in. But in this White House, I don't know how much they talk to you about it, Rick, but they have a hard time getting talent. Look, and you just heard why.
Well, look, there are a lot of really good, talented people in that White House. I know a lot of them. Some of them used to work for me, and they are really good people. And so, yeah, I would agree with you that, a lot of levels, they have had some trouble recruiting.
Still have tons of openings.
That's right. They have, and they haven't done a very good job filling a lot of those openings, and that's a real problem in trying to get policy, penetrating down through the department. So it has been a problem. I'm not sure it's fair to say that the White House is necessarily the place where they're having the hardest time recruiting. In fact, I think they've recruited some really top-notch people that are even coming in here in the next few days. So I think it's a little harder once you get out a little farther away from the president. But I think they have really top-notch people in the White House.
Anyway, gentlemen, Bakari, Rick, it's great to have you on the show. I appreciate it. I'm thankful for you guys. This
Happy
is that time of
Thanksgiving,
year.
Chris.
Thank you for helping us build something here at Cuomo Primetime. You're a big part of it, both of you. God bless and be well.
You too.